Regular meeting of the Prairie View City Council will now be called to order at 6:06 p.m. Ms. Bynum, would you certify the quorum, please?
Yes. Councilmember Rowland,
Present.
Councilmember Randall, Councilmember Jones,
Here.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Wallace.
Thank you, Ms. Ms. Bynum, make sure that you do. Now we'll have a brief invocation. Lord, we ask that you bless us in all of our undertakings. Thank you for all of those households represented here this evening, all of those on their way, and please bless all of those who desire to be with us but weren't able to make it as we discuss and go forward on promoting the city of Prairie View and taking care of the city and the residents' business for all who live, work, and study here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And we pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have Fuel Max with us? Please, come on up. Ready to see you. It's been a very long time. Please, why don't you stand behind the podium and you can share. Listen, please, no talking in the audience, folks. It's a public meeting. We want to make sure everybody hears the speaker as well. Please, yes, sir. Please introduce yourself. Tell them who you are and what you're doing in our city.
I need to turn this on. My name is Rahil Khalifa. I'm with RSK Engineering. I'm the engineer of record for Fuel Max gas station. We basically do all Fuel Max projects. We started this project here at 290 Access Road with FM 1980 or 1098 about a year ago, and we had to go through approval through TxDOT to get a driveway on the access road, and with the help of Mayor Allen, we were able to get it. Took a long time. And then I think the owner of the Fuel Max, he bought several lots to be able to build his project. And his project basically is he have about 6,300 square feet gas station with 2 restaurants inside it. Is Dickey's Barbecue and Checkers, Taco Corners. And then a standalone building for Checkers, about 2,200 square feet, which is dine-in with a drive-through. So this basically what the project is made of. The only problem with this project, the property is not wide enough to have the gas pumps and the gas station with proper driving in and out for cars. But we were able to make it work. So at this point right now, we have the permit for drainage and driveways from TxDOT. We have the approval from the city engineer for the drainage on the site. We have the fire marshal site approval, and we also have the building official approval for a fire code and the building engineering plans. So right now we at the point we trying to get the permit, the final permit to build the project, and then we find out that they have some kind of zoning requirement that you have to be 10 foot from the back of the property. Our building was built or designed to be 5 foot from the property line. So when I talked to the building reviewer while he's reviewing, I brought that to his attention that we are 5 foot. He said, as long as you have 1 hour fire rated wall, then you will be okay, but we built a 2 hour fire rated wall. And then when we find out at the end, while we try to get the permit that we have to be 10 foot away, So we proposing to add an 8-foot high block wall, split face CMU wall to make it work for us because the contractor have material of the site and ready to build, and we are right now trying to get the permit. I'm hoping with the having this 8-foot wall and have the firewall to be able to have the council members approve our plan because we're ready to build, and it's costing, of course, the owner money and time and all that. And so and I hope that you guys will approve for us.
Council, any questions? Mr. Raleigh?
Once again, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being a part of this project. I want to see this project come into fruition. May I ask, who's the engineer that you refer to?
I don't recall, we have so many projects, I really don't recall the name, but the building already been approved. Our building, all our plans already been approved, and we're just ready to get the permit to start construction. So whoever the engineer for the city that reviewed the building, that's the one, I'm not sure, I don't recall his name.
That would be Mark with LJA Engineering,
Yes.
who's been working with them. for a
Yeah,
while.
and then you have one who did the site. That's Mark, I think, for the site, who got that approved.
No, wait a minute.
And somebody else.
Trilogy, Trilogy. David Peters has reviewed their stuff, I'm sorry, it was Trilogy.
Yeah.
You got so much going on that I can't keep up with.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they approved our plan already, so.
And also recently, Bureau Veritas, for the benefit of council, just in case, because this was like recent, like maybe a week ago.
Yes.
Ms. Rogers with Bureau Veritas took a look at it and pointed out, Mr. Peters, was that a week and a half ago? Ms. Rogers shared with us that the zoning that she saw showed that it was actually commercial immediately right behind their property line.
That's correct.
So just needed 10 feet instead of the original 15 that we were thinking. Okay, so yeah, yes, Councilman.
My question, thank you. I was a part of council when we approved the first development of the already existing gas station here in the community.
Yes.
Second, you said you've gotten approval to move forward and you're waiting on
The permits.
the permits.
Yes.
In the information that's come to your company, you're the engineer.
Yes, sir.
The information that's come to your company, have you went back and looked at all the things that you received back from the city of Prairie View? Like, so there were certain things that were asked to be done, and you're saying those have been satisfied and you got a sign off of that?
Yes, sir. All our plans been signed off and ready for construction for the plans for right now. Yes, sir.
Well, I think the biggest thing is the Board of Adjustments because you need a variance.
Yeah, that's the only item, the one we're asking
Right.
for the council members to approve that variance for us.
So,
Well,
the council don't.
Council would approve the Board of Adjustments, who would take a look and see if a variance.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
My correct, so city council doesn't approve the variance, but the variance is there for a reason. In your explanation, did you talk to how your development is gonna work with this variance? So you're wanting 5 feet instead of the required 15?
10.
You're wanting 10?
No, require 10,
Uh-huh.
and we have our plans already approved with 5 foot.
Right, so what you're saying, the city ordinance
Yes, sir.
says 10. And
Yes.
so if you're coming to do a project in the city, you would have known that the ordinance was 10. And so I'm saying, what are we giving, are you giving up a drop, something is going to lose. Like, so what are we giving up in the additional 5 feet? Can you explain, can you kind of give us the additional information as to how it's gonna impact? So is there's gonna be an impact somewhere?
Yes, sir.
So is it going to the drive-through? Is it gonna be a short drive, on the back side of the drive-through? Where is this 5 feet gonna take place?
Yes, sir. Right now, the way we have the plans, we have the store, and we have a sidewalk, then we have parking, and we have a canopy for the gas. The problem is gonna be for the cars to go around the canopy. From the canopy to the landscape area, I have at the short end 22 feet. And you need really minimum 24. So if I'm gonna move it 2 feet more, I have to take that, 5 feet more out. I have to take out from the drive of the vehicles around the canopy, which is not convenient and maybe not, safe.
Right, which
Yes.
is why we have which is why we asked for the 10, the 10, is it 10 feet?
10 feet.
10
yes,
feet.
sir.
There's a reason for that, and I'm trying to say, if you done these developments all the time, are you saying these variances happen for this all the time? Or is there a reason why we have 10 feet?
No, I'm not sure why your zoning department requested 10 feet, but
Okay.
we build 5 feet all the time
All the time,
in
okay.
different locations. As long as,
The one over there, what is that? The off of 0290?
That's 10 feet, right?
I'm not sure, but whether it's in this city or other cities, or Harris County or City of Houston, they approve 5 feet all the time. But I was not aware of the zoning requirement myself till the end,
So
after we got everything approved.
the owner has a similar, or I don't know. The gas station off 0290, what is that variance?
I'm not sure.
Can I interrupt just briefly?
Sure.
I would prefer, I think I would prefer that we not have a discussion about the variance, because the way the process works is we have a zoning regulation that requires 10 feet. If they would like a variance to that 10 foot, that goes through the zoning board of adjustment, and the zoning board of adjustment is the final authority with respect to that, unless it's denied and they would like to appeal that variance to the district court, or it's approved and city council doesn't agree with the decision, they can appeal the decision to district court. But city council's input really isn't relevant to the variance process because it falls within the purview of the zoning board of adjustment. So I think I would prefer that we just not have that discussion.
Thank you for your presentation.
My pleasure, yes,
Yes,
sir.
and again,
Thank you for the mayor who've been really working hard to help us through the process
Well,
from
and,
the
and,
beginning.
and I think for the benefit of council as we dismiss you and for the public, it's been closer to 2 years
Yes,
because when you all first came to me, TxDOT has said no.
yes,
The
sir.
realtors, the buyers, sellers, and that sort of thing.
Yes,
And then we had to get some other people involved, and we had meetings at TxDOT and State Representative Bell's office and that sort of thing.
yes, sir.
And then TxDOT made the minor whatever concessions because TxDOT's position for the benefit of the public and council was it was a freeway entrance
Yes, sir.
and they just didn't want to see it there. So they just said no. And what we found out was, in looking around throughout Texas, there was a similar situation that TxDOT had allowed somewhere else. And my personal position was, if you're gonna allow them to do it, you're gonna allow us to do it, because we need the services, the economic development, the jobs, all of that. So that process with TxDOT took exactly 13 months and had to be approved in Austin. And then you all kicked in, but you couldn't do anything, that's why it was on a.
Yes, and then we had to
So,
purchase additional land, the owner purchased additional land.
yeah,
To that make it take a little bit more.
yeah, because they were doing 2 houses there and they went and bought the 3rd one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we appreciate it, you coming
Appreciate
out
it.
and sharing and answering council's questions and
I appreciate
letting
it.
the public know, so.
So what do we need to do, because,
Well, on-
we're
on
in
that-
the schedule.
Well, on the agenda, item 13, if it be council's pleasure, the Board of Adjustments that we've been looking to is what needs to happen for yours and anyone else who wants to do something outside of the written ordinance.
Yes, sir.
So would it be council's pleasure to move that up and address the Board of Adjustments one way or another and get that out the way? Because this is the reason it's on there.
No, I'll wait till later.
Yeah, I move that be item agenda number 1.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that item 13 be moved to item agenda number 1. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let the record show it's unanimous? Okay, thank you. So we'll be addressing the Board of Adjustment shortly, and from there, we'll see how it picks up with you.
Okay, so how long you think this process takes?
Well, once we get a Board of Adjustments, then they'll set a meeting. They need at least 72 hours to post the meeting.
Yes, yes.
So it could be, if not this week, very early next month.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much,
We're
y'all.
doing everything we can. We appreciate
No, I
y'all's
appreciate
work and investment in our city.
Sure. Thank you, yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. You have a great day.
You too. Next presentation, 2020 Census Champions, Councilman Rowland.
Here's some information for the community. Again, the presentation, the computer is not uploaded for some reason. So I'll briefly talk to you about the census. What a census champion is, right? So a census champion, I had the opportunity to go to the second conference that talks specifically about the census and its impact on our community. The sheet that I'm handing out at this current time talks about Census 101, what you need to know. That talks about everyone's count. This says the census counts every person living in the U.S. and it just talks about why we have the census, who conducts the census, where the money comes from. $675 billion is allocated based upon resources that come from the census. What a census champion is a local committee set up that supports what we call a complete count committee, which is an agenda item on our agenda. What the census champion is champions in the community saying that we are going to make sure that we're accounted. And so it's a campaign that will be rolling out with a toolkit. For any citizen who wants to be a part of the Census Champion, you have the opportunity. Please let Ms. Bynum know, who's our city secretary. Please let her know by giving her your phone number, email, so you can be duly notified of the next meeting. The goal of the Census Champion is to put together a toolkit, a campaign in our community to go to different events, whether it be retired teachers, whether it be the Chamber of Commerce, whether it be Waller ISD, Hempstead ISD, making sure that people in our community knows that the census is here and coming. One of the presentations, I think it's in your council's packet, is this, that talks about the local update to the census addressing. Currently in this process, you're going to see people in the community up until November. And they have the required information. They'll have a badge. They'll have a bag that says census. And so if you see strange people around the community, they should have some things that identify them as census workers. Currently, right now, with the local update of census addressing, right now they're verifying addresses that the census has, which is very important. So that means that the new apartments or any new development in our community, we're going to make sure that we have addresses for those and that the addresses are updated in their system. There are three electronic papers. So make sure that the community knows that this is currently going on. How the census work is you'll either have where you can request, you can do it electronically. So you'll be able to go online from your home and take the census. But we also know that our community is not as wired or have broadband like some of the larger cities. So if you don't have a computer, don't have the high-speed internet, you can request a paper form. If you request a paper form and the form does not come in the mail, that's when you're going to get a knock at your door from a census worker who's going to deliver the package. So you have three kind of ways to get this information. I have a copy, only one copy, but if you want a copy of what it looks like, please come to the meeting, and you're gonna let Ms. Bynum know again your information. The census asked 6 questions. And, you know, the goal is to answer the 6 questions for your community. Once this information is going to be used to, again, count the city of Prairie View. So everybody sees the population signs when you drive to the city of Prairie View has a number. That number came from the census 10 years ago. The goal for Prairie View should be to make sure that everybody in our community is counted. That means babies, that means students, that means seniors, that means everyone in our community, even children under 5. Why? Because the goal for Prairie View should to be the largest city in Waller County. So for the next 10 years, Waller County has to say the city of Prairie View is the largest city. There's some benefits that come with that. And so the goal of this committee and the goal of this training that I've went to is to be able to come back and share with my colleagues up here who support it, but also to share with the community because we need your help. I got several pieces of paper to give out. They're going to have, there is 50,000, the census is hiring 50,000 people. In Texas, the regional director was at the training. He says in Texas they're going to hire alone 26,000 people. Texas region is based out of Dallas, or our region, Waller County, is based out of the Dallas region. We're not out of the Houston region. For some strange reason, Waller County is connected to Dallas. I met with the regional director and the person in charge of Dallas. They plan to have a program specialist come down to help work with the mayor, who is the head of the Complete Count Committee, and members of city council and members of the community. This is, again, for additional information. I have some additional things that I'll hand out, but that speaks specifically to the Complete Count Committee, and that's on a specific agenda item. I just like the documents that I handed out to be put into the record, and that is all of my presentations. Is there any questions?
Can the audience ask a question?
Yeah.
How are the students counted? They have close to 10,000 students there. How will you know if they're being counted by their parents' household or just being counted here in Prairie View?
I'm glad you asked that question. On the form, it tells you if your child does not live in the home with you, to do not count them. So we have an opportunity in the city of Prairie View. This is how in the city of Prairie View, to make sure that the addresses they have, whether it be 2 people in the household, 4 people in the household, that they each individual fill out their own application if they're not related. Fill out their own application if they're not related. And that's what the census champions are going to do. Get trained to be able to communicate this information to everybody at all the meetings and to hold one big event. We want the event to happen April 1st, which is the census day. So we talk right now through November. They're doing the address verification. That's where if you had an apartment complex that comes up, we want to make sure that the census has their address in the census tract. That address then will make sure that they count those. If you put apartment A, apartment B, that all those get counted when those students or whoever live in the apartments submits them, we get counted for them. The second part, that doesn't happen until you have address verification, which is going on currently to November. Census doesn't start till 2020, April 1st. And so that's why we want to pull together an event called Census Day. It's a national, around the country they're trying to do something just like you have voting day, May 5th. They're trying to do a Census Day, which is April 1st. And we know April 1st is also April Fool's. But the goal is to have a April 1st event to where we can get people to come into one centralized location. Have people who are trained to help them fill out this survey. to have people who speak Spanish or any other languages that we need. They said they have over 50, they won't be here, but they have over 53 different countries translated, 26 different languages and different writings. And all we need to do is know that ahead of time to make sure that they get the proper census form. Again, if this seems like something you want to be a part of, please let Ms. Bynum know so we can talk about Census Champion and also supporting the Complete Count Committee that the mayor has put together. So yes, the goal is to have every individual counted in the city of Prairie View, students and children under 5.
And one of the other things, to pick up on what Councilman Rowland said and answer your question, is in having met with the lady came down from Dallas and some of her counterparts out of Houston, because I'd met them 5 or 6 months before. So they all came down, there's 5 of them. And what we decided to do is there is a separate committee to count all the heads on campus. Totally separate committee to be sure they handle that, and that way we're not trying to do both, if you will, but that way it's kind of separated out for, as they said, it's called a complete count, so to try to make sure. But it's something like $1,500, it's a few $1,000s per head that a city or area loses, even for newborn babies that are not counted. So there's a lot of money lost in different federal, state, aid, different programs. Like when something happens based on the count, it impacts what we may receive in emergency funding from things like Harvey or Hurricane Rita, things of that nature. So, but as Councilman Rowland says, we're just working and we're gonna do everything we can to cover every nook and cranny in the city and to get a true, complete head count of all the bodies that reside within the city. Yes, sir.
Real quick, again, 26,000 jobs only in Texas. In our region, there's 12 other states. Texas is the largest. So please pick up the flyers if you're looking for jobs. The community people, what they're trying to do is get local people to help in the community, or you may be working in Waller County. The second thing is that we had an in-depth conversation in reference to making sure that the Census Bureau helps, because of part of one of the issues that came up as I was talking with the regional director. We know everything is tied to your zip code, so you put in your address, and then there's a zip code that you connect to this address. And so, as many of you know, there's some issues in our community with zip code. And so part of it was trying to make sure that how are they going to specifically count Prairie View, count all the people in Prairie View and not in some of the other 2 adjoining cities because of their zip codes. And so they weren't able to give me an answer at that moment, but the part of the Census Champions Committee and the Complete Count Committee is to start to flush out these ideas, getting people trained to help communicate this message on why this is important. So again, please again get with Ms. Bynum and let us know if you want to participate as a Census Champion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anything else, council, on the census thing? At this time, I'd like to have Officer Ross come forward. As many of you know, Officer Ross is, and he was our interim chief, and now he's been an officer assisting with our department. And because of the emergency situation we found ourselves in, it didn't wait for a meeting, so I swore him in as required, but our ordinances also require that it be done in a public forum, and that's what we're finishing up on today. So Officer Ross will just be sworn in twice, okay? But here, if you would raise your right hand, sir. And repeat after me. I, Francis M. Ross, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of police officer for the city of Prairie View
for the city of Prairie View
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas
and I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United
of
States
the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay. Oh. And Ms. Durham, if you would come up for just a second, please. I just wanted, and obviously she doesn't know, because y'all know how she be, you know, and so she didn't know she'd be coming up today. But Ms. Durham, we're proud to say, is now a true cancer survivor. She's cancer-free. We just wanted to let you know and to let the public know, you know, you've been working hard in the city for a long time, but, you know, to go through those type of things is, you know, and you know, we talked and saw that, but I think they need to see, and, you know, that it can be done, it's been done by others, it's done by you right here in Prairie View, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, Councilman Jones.
I just wanted to personally congratulate Ms. Durham. Every time you come into City Hall, she always upbeat and a smile lights up the room regardless of anything she may be facing that day. You will never know by the tone in her voice and the smile on her face. So just thank you for all the service and the hard work that you continue to put in at a very hard time in your life. So thank you for persevering and pushing through. It's inspiring and inspirational to people like myself, so thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Now we'll have citizen comments for Ron Leverett.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the City Council and to the citizens. One, I guess I want to speak to is, I would like to ask, and I know that we have a lot of things to work on in the city of Prairie View, and I would like us to figure out a way to cut our meetings a little bit short. I think, you know, we stayed, I think we stayed in the last meeting that I was here, almost 11 o'clock. And I did have an opportunity to go to the city of Hempstead. I'm not trying to compare us with the city of Hempstead, but their agenda was on one sheet. They covered a lot of things I think some of you